Hello, and welcome to episode 93 of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast. I am your host, Jazz Marjaz Bennett, and I have a fantastic episode for you, and I'm so glad that you are tuned in. I want to just say happy Monday. As you know, Mondays are my favorite days of the week. And so, because it is a Monday, you already know that we are here and we are tuned in because Mondays are the days that we get to recalibrate, we get to reset our days, we get to refocus, and we get to set intentional new goals for our new and fantastic week. So, Jazzy Crew, I hope you guys have had a fantastic Monday. I want you in the comments to let me know where you are watching from or listening from. And I want you to be very interactive when it comes to the episode because I'll look down ever so often and see that you have a comment or you have a question, and I do not mind addressing it. I want to say that if you are interested in partnering with the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast, I would love for you to be a part of my Jazzy crew. And I want you to contact me for ad space. All you have to do is email me at jazzyconversationswithjazz@gmail.com. And I can get you out a package if you would like to advertise on my podcast. And as you know, for over 20 years, I have been bringing jazzy vibes to all types of events, near, far, and I would love to host your event. So if you are in need of a great host and MC for your next event, contact me as well. Again, that email address is jazzyconversationswithjazz@gmail.com. I want to take this time before we get into the show. I want to take this time and I want to pay honor to my friend, my childhood friend, and it just so happens that we have still maintained our relationship and our friendship into adulthood. So much so that I have watched her be a great student. You know, she's been in school for as long as I can remember, just chasing her goals in the medical field. I've watched her birth 3 beautiful children. I've watched her get married before then and then birth those beautiful kids. I've watched her work so hard. I've watched her take care of other people. And I've watched her even get her doctorate, in nursing. And she's my primary care physician, and I love her dearly. And it's just such a blessing that I could have a true friend, someone that I've known since the 4th grade, to come on this journey with me. And I want to say, Satoria Rowe, you are absolutely loved. You and your family are in my absolute prayers daily. I want to send my condolences on behalf of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast on the loss of your humble, loving, respectful, handsome, smart, ambitious, athletic, definitely a goal digger, as a lot of my Jazzy Conversations with Jazz family is. So I want to dedicate this show to Lil Corey, whom we've lost, but we know that he is residing in his heavenly home, and we will have his celebration of life this Thursday. So I wanted to just take a moment of silence to honor the life of Corey Rowe Jr. Thank you. And so I just want everyone to make sure that you are wrapping your arms around your loved ones. I want you to make sure that in this lifetime, you are living life. You are living life to its full potential, and you're not afraid when we go through our valleys, because you know that mountaintop, we know that we're going to have valleys, but you know that we also have those mountaintops of glory as well. And so I am so excited to speak with my special guest for this episode. She has an extensive resume, and I have really appreciated the gems that she has provided for me along my leadership journey. And of others as well that I've clearly seen her mentor. She's a powerhouse, and I am referring to Jill Dorsett. Jill Dorsett is a native to Polk County. So you know that I love speaking to my Polk County natives. She completed her undergraduate studies with a degree in history from the University of Florida and completed her graduate work in Education Administration and Supervision at the University of Southern Mississippi. She is an experienced ESE teacher, history teacher, and an experienced elementary, middle, and high school principal in Florida and in Georgia. She is a licensed real estate agent serving the greater Central Florida community. She is also the founder of Dorsett Holdings, Inc., which comprises several businesses that focus on real estate investing, tutoring services for kindergarten through adult learners, event planning, and educational leadership and school improvement consulting. She is an active volunteer in her community as well. She currently serves on the Polk County Walk to End Alzheimer's Executive Leadership Committee and the Polk County School District's Sales Tax Oversight Committee. She is a founding secretary of the African American Chamber of Commerce for Polk County, and she's a former education chair for the NAACP the Lakeland Branch. She's also a former member of the Polk County School Board Book Review Committee, a former board member of Girls Inc., and a former board member of the Polk Vision Education Task Force. She also, in her spare time, when she has that spare time, she enjoys mentoring students, helping others, traveling, entertaining, and spending quality time with her friends and family. And we all know how important that quality time is. So without further ado, I would love Conversations with Jazz podcast, and I'm so happy to have her. So remember, make sure that you leave your comments. Make sure that you, if you have any questions, we want to hear your questions. If you have, something to add to the conversation, please don't hesitate. Let us know, and we'll let you say some things. So how are you today, Miss Dorsett? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. And before we start, if I can just give my condolences to Satiria's family. My prayers are with you during this time. I cannot imagine what you're going through, but we are praying for strength for you and your family during this time of bereavement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Like she's such a good person. And, my mom used to keep Lil Corey, and so it's like I have these memories and just seeing him as an adult male, but we know that God doesn't make mistakes. And the one thing that I love about them going through this whole process is that they are definitely deeply rooted into the word. And they have so many loving people around them. So thank you for extending those condolences, because he definitely was loved.
Yes.
So I wanted to thank you for accepting the invitation, because we've talked about this. I said that I said it last year, but as I'm thinking back, Jill, I think no, because I hadn't started my podcast when I was at Kathleen Elementary as an assistant principal. But I almost feel like maybe we were talking about having a forum or something, and I was like, I just need you on the panel or something. I just remember saying that in whatever capacity, I wanted your knowledge, I wanted your experiences and your expertise on certain topics. So I'm elated to be here today on this Monday to have you here.
Fantastic.
So how was your Monday? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to ask, can you see me okay?
Yes, you look perfect.
Okay, great. My Monday has been busy. I had a meeting first thing this morning at 9. I guess that might be a little late for people who were already at work. My job allows me some flexibility. And so I've just been kind of running all day, and my work is not done yet. So when we're done with the podcast, I have some things I need to finish up before I go to sleep tonight. So
wow, busy. So is busy a comfort zone to you?
It is. I get bored when I'm not doing something. So I'm constantly doing something. I don't know what to do if I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, and it's not good because I find that the times that I don't do something, I'm sleeping or I'm eating some things that I shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
And so therefore I gain weight as a result of that. So I try to stay busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that about myself. Because I noticed how some people just stated, like, I'll notice if people ask me to do things and the first thing they'll say is that I know you're just so busy, or you're always doing something. And I noticed that when I had downtime, I had absolutely no clue what to do with it. It felt so weird. I felt like, what on earth is this? Like, what's happening? Like, I felt like I needed to be doing just something, staying busy. Like, I don't know that life of not being busy. So I know,
but we need to figure it out though.
Yes.
Because being busy all the time is not good. So we're going to have to try to figure that out. So that's one of the journeys that I'm on right now, is trying to fill up that time with maybe meditation, listening to some music that I like, just something other than feeling like I have to do stuff.
Yeah. Have to do something. So listen, I wanna jump in. And so, you said you are a Polk County native, but represent your city. What city are you from in Polk County?
Okay, well, you know what? I'm from a couple of cities. I was actually born in Haines City.
Oh, okay.
I was born in Haines City. And I lived,
never knew that.
I was born in Haines City. So what's up, Haines City? I was born in Haines City, but then moved to Bartow when I was in 3rd grade. So I am a yellow jacket, graduated Bartow High School. So Bartow is what I consider home.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So at Bartow, in Bartow High School, how would you describe yourself? Like, did you roll with a clique, or what was your personality in high school?
In high school, I was focused on academics. I was involved in National Honor Society, student government. I was actually the scorekeeper for the boys basketball team for a couple of years, so I got to travel, with the boys. And but I tried out for cheerleading. I didn't make the cheer team because I couldn't do a cartwheel, and but I did try. So no, I was mainly focused on the academic piece, and of course, assisting with scorekeeping. That still involves some academics, because you have to be comfortable with numbers, and so you can't mess up the score, or people will beat you up if you try to mess up the score. So that's how I stayed busy. And I worked while I was in high school. I worked at McDonald's during my junior and senior year of high school, and even when I came back home on the holidays from college. So yeah.
Now, speaking of college, in your bio, I see that you are a Gator. So hi Gator.
I know. So no Gator haters out there tonight, okay? So I attended the University of Florida, graduated from there, and had a great time in Gainesville. Those were some of the best years of my life. I have not visited in a while, but yeah, I am a graduate of UF.
So I can't hate on you being a Gator at all, because my sister matriculated from the University of Florida as well.
Exactly.
So I can't hate on the University of Florida at all. And it's so funny. I'm like, you and Pastor Lake of New Bethel AME must get along very well, because he's also a graduate.
That's right.
And we sat on a panel together on another radio show, and another panelist always gives him the business on that, because both of us are rattlers, and here he is being a Gator. So yeah, you and Pastor Lake must have a good repertoire to bond on and say, yeah, we're both Gators.
But I do oftentimes regret not having that HBCU experience. I said, if I didn't go there for undergrad, maybe I'll do graduate school. So I still haven't done that, but I support all HBCUs for sure. My mom attended an HBCU, so yeah.
Absolutely. So how did you choose the University of Florida? Because it is a great school, but how did you end up at the University of Florida?
I was my guidance counselor, who was Mr. Leonard at that time. He tried to convince me to go to FAMU, and I've always kind of been like an outlier. I never wanted to do what other people was doing. So, but you know what? If I get into UF, I'm going to UF.
Yeah.
And so that's how that happened. It was a goal of mine to see if I could. And when I did, I accepted the offer and I attended there.
Gotcha. I too almost attended the University of Florida. It came down to the University of Florida and FAMU. And the ironic part about that whole experience is the fact that I got a full ride from Florida A&M University, and I didn't get one from the University of Florida, where I felt most of my scholarships would go in the other direction, and it went in the opposite direction. So I just said that had to be, that's a faith thing, and I think it's a divine thing. Is what I'm saying, because when I was at the summer program. I was with the Black Student Union at UF, where they try to convince, upcoming students to come. I was all in. I went to the and actually I was going to major in architecture. Like, I went to the architecture program, all the labs and all that good stuff. And I made a knee-jerk decision to go to Florida A&M University. Like, my sister had bought me a UF credit card and everything. And I felt so bad having to tell her I'm not going to UF system, I'm going to FAMU. So
you ended up attending a great university.
Absolutely.
No regrets there.
Absolutely. No regrets at all.
Absolutely.
I'm looking, Jill, at your, and I knew this. I think I only knew this because I saw you live at a school board meeting. And you mentioned that you had a degree in history from the University of Florida. And I said, I never knew that about Jill. And so looking at it again in your bio, I formulate this question of how did you end up majoring in history? What is it about history that drew you in?
Let me tell you, my reason for choosing history, when I took the first class, I fell in love with the content. And so just learning about the past of America's history, of the history of South America, African history, all of that was meaningful for me, and it was taught in a way that I hadn't learned it in high school. Also, my other reason for choosing history, because I was going to go to law school. That was my ultimate goal, was to go to law school. And I knew that history or anything in dealing with the social sciences, political science, those things would prepare me by giving me that foundational knowledge about the history as it relates to this country in particular. If I'm going to pursue law, you need to know about your country if you're going to pursue law. And the Constitution and all of those things surrounding that. So that was my goal. But I partied so much, I was a little sister for the Omegas, and let me tell you, I partied hard in Gainesville. So needless to say, I never did apply for law school. Okay. But yeah.
So, because I'm just wondering, I'm like, well, what, the makeup of the class, like, are they, studious or just, just on one end of the spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum? Because I remember taking some history classes at FAM, and when I say they were about history, and I learned so many things that, like you said, not only was it presented differently than it was presented in high school, but there were so many things that I just did not know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because they make you take a history class for one of your humanities. And I think I had an African American history course, and it just blew my mind. It opened my mind and my purview to things that I just did not know, like even how multifaceted and multicultural we are as a people, first of all, and then even like the history of slavery. I did not get that picture at all in high school. And I would have never gotten that full view of it had I not taken this course. And it saddens me because I just would not have, I don't think I would have even sought that knowledge had I not gone to an HBCU. And it's sad to say, I just would have been content with, oh, this is what I know, and I'm like, I look back on that and it's like, it's so much history that a lot of people simply don't know because we don't seek the knowledge. And I think that's a disservice to everybody.
Yeah. So, at UF, they only offered one course on African American history, just one.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But the instructor, he was phenomenal. That one course is what inspired me to learn as much as I could about the true history of America, the inclusive history of America. So when I was a history teacher, because the textbooks they're not inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a month here where we celebrate the history of African Americans or the contributions of African Americans. But if you are a history teacher, you should not rely on the textbook alone. You have to do your due diligence and
Mm-hmm.
seek out other resources to build into that content so that your students have a broad introduction or a broader understanding of America's history.
Right.
And that's the kind of teacher that I was.
Mm-hmm.
I always started that history began in Africa. That's how I started each of my classes. Mm-hmm.
How did you end up going into teaching?
You know what?
Into education.
Well, you know, when I graduated from UF, I actually worked for, they call it HRS. Now it's the Department of Children and Family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for 1 year. And then one of my friends, she convinced me to become a teacher. So yeah, that's how I started. That's how I got into teaching, and I'm glad that I did. The best decision I could have made.
Good.
And I started teaching out of field, ESE, at Kathleen Junior High under the leadership of the late, great Dr. Clint Wright.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
He is my mentor.
Talk to me about him, because I just on this journey of leadership, there literally is only one person that I have never heard anyone say anything bad about their leadership, and it's him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, out of all of the leaders that I've ever served under, that I know, mm-hmm. when his name comes into a conversation, I never hear anything negative. Mm-hmm. No. And that amazes me. It amazes me. Like, mm-hmm. no one ever thinks of a time, well, I remember when my child had this situation, or I remember as a teacher, and none of it.
Yeah.
So how was serving under him?
He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. I couldn't have asked for a better principal to start my education journey under. And that connection was made through my uncle, who was also an Omega. Dr. Wright was an Omega. So that's how that happened. That's how I ended up teaching under him. Just a phone call. Okay, I did the interview, phone call. Okay. But I watched how well he communicated with the students. He set high expectations for them. He set high expectations for the staff. And he had a great rapport with everyone, the students, the staff, the parents, black, white, purple, green, it didn't matter. Everyone was drawn to him because of his personality. He had that charisma about him. He always would tell me, and I'm sure others, whenever he helped me or anybody else, he would always tell us, now go back and help someone else. And so I continue to carry that spirit with me. That's why I'm always trying to make sure that people that I know, or even those that I don't know, but if I see someone in need, or if I see someone being treated unfairly, or anything that it might be, I'm going to reach out to you. And so he was that type.
Go ahead. He was.
No, he was that type of leader. He knew how to have fun. Yep. You know, he wasn't just about, during the work hours, it was all about the work. But he would spend time with us even after work. But we still respected his position. We knew who the leader was. You know, we respected him for who he is or who he was. And so he's my mentor. He is who I always aspire to be. I think of him whenever I'm thinking about when I'm making decisions, about my life, or when I'm thinking about how can I help this individual. I always reflect on Dr. Wright. So he has definitely gone too soon, gone way too soon. Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree. I had the pleasure of his daughter was actually in my principal internship program, and so now you know that she's a thriving principal, following in her father's footsteps. So that's amazing to see as well. And so I'm ecstatic, when I hear of great leadership. Because as you know, I've I think you've seen my journey. I don't know if we've necessarily just sat down and hashed it all out, but when you serve, or if you see or hear about poor leadership, that's not a great place to be, especially when you are an aspiring leader. Because I've always heard of his legacy, and it's like, wow, that's the type of principal, that's the type of leader that I want to be. And so it's difficult, when you don't have that example and you're not able to fully become that example. And so when you think of leadership in any capacity, when you think of leadership, what are some qualities that you have now come to realize a leader has to have these qualities?
You must be willing to let go and allow other people to demonstrate what they bring to the table. Sometimes as leadership, you have leadership is leadership no matter what it is.
Right.
Okay. Some are good leaders and some are bad leaders. Okay. So when you think about leadership or leaders in history, Putin is one. He's not someone that we would consider a good leader, but he have people following him for whatever the reason is. They're following him. Okay. And you have President Obama. I consider him a great leader. Okay. So you have two different people still exhibiting these leadership qualities. But for me, the type of leaders who I would want to follow are people who, number one, as I stated, are not afraid to let go and allow others to demonstrate what they bring to the table. Also, they are good listeners, so they're not having to be in the forefront all the time, and they are good listeners. They're open to new ideas. They value your time. They allow people to make mistakes, and then they can coach them to get them back on track. Okay? So those type people, they understand that they're not always going to be in the role. And whenever you think the fact that you're not going to always be in the role, you should be grooming others to come behind you. That's what great leaders do.
Yeah, I agree.
They're comfortable with letting go.
You have so many people that micromanage, though. You have a lot of leaders that micromanage.
Yes, and they micromanage, and they've been allowed to continue, but no one is learning anything under their leadership because they're micromanaging everything. Yeah. And what that then does is cause people to leave, because everyone wants to be in an environment where they're appreciated, where they're given opportunities to grow and to shine.
Yeah, I agree. And so I know that you are, I can vouch for you being a part of a village. You are one of those crusaders that literally will reach out to someone. So Dr. Wright taught you right, and you have lived up to that, because even when I said that I was going to have you on this podcast, there were so many people that were excited, and so many people had so many great things to say about you. And I said, okay, Jill, I'm going to dig into this when we get on this episode, because you were one of the people that people said, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna tune in to this one," or "Yeah, I'm gonna support this one." And why do you think that? I know you said one aspect of it is because you do reach out and you do help the next person, but why do you think that? Like, what experiences have caused you to be categorized as that type of person?
Well, you know what? I had no idea that people were even paying attention, really, to want to be to come in and hear what I had to say, because I'm not just out there, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person who just want to be seen, I'm not that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I don't need accolades, because I know where my rewards come from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice that people wanted to or want to see the show and to hear what I have to say. And I'm hoping that it is because of the way I carry myself. I'm not sure. And maybe it's because I am deliberate about trying to interact with people that I'm friends with on Facebook. I have, I guess, not as many as you, but I have about 2,000 people that I'm friends with on
You
Facebook.
up there?
And
You
so,
up there?
but all 2,000 of those people are important to me.
Good.
So whenever I see something that may come up on their feed, I'm going to interact in some kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person who just want to be your friend on Facebook just to say that I have this many people that I'm friends with on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why.
Well, someone in the comment keeps putting authenticity is what they keep describing you with.
Right. Oh, okay. Awesome. I love that. Immigrant woman. We're, by the way, and you know what? Everyone's an immigrant, but African Americans, right? We understand that, right? Okay. Okay. We're not immigrants. We were actually brought here involuntarily. But let me stop that conversation. But that's because I'm a history major, okay?
So I just, I know that you've had a journey because you've gone through, you were a history major, education, that passion and that purpose in education has led you to be the principal at all levels. I'm like, okay, Jill is a principal at all levels in Florida and in Georgia, and you do so much. Real estate, we're going to get into that sector of how you got into real estate as well. So I want to know, how did you get here? Like, what experiences have led you to be who you are today? What do you consider to be your comeback story?
You know what? We all have a plan, right?
Don't we?
But our plan is not God's plan. He always has a different plan. So, I'm sure he laughs at us every time we try to make some plans.
Right.
But I'm going to tell everybody that's listening, whatever you think your plan is, you want to always have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? So you want to be working all of your plans at the same time. Work your plans at the same time. So I'm inspired when I see some of my Facebook friends, when I see them starting businesses and promoting their businesses. I'm really impressed with that, because what got me here, I never thought beyond the principalship. Never thought beyond the principalship. But life happened.
Yeah.
I dealt with some racism, in one of my roles as a principal. And you get to a point where you just get tired of the stuff. You get tired of the stuff, and it's important for those that are watching that even though you may be working for someone, always have your own business where you're generating revenue so that you can always be able to pay your bills no matter what. Because when you know stuff, people will try to block your growth and your progression. They will try to block your growth and progression when you know stuff. Now, you can't not know stuff. I mean, when you know it, you just know it.
Yeah.
But everybody's not comfortable with what you know. So always have a plan B. So with my journey, I dealt with racism and discrimination as a principal. And it got to a point where I was just tired. And so I've been a business owner since 2010. And I'm thankful because of that, I've been able to keep a roof over my head, food on my table, clothes on my back, and I keep it moving.
Gotcha.
People don't know the challenges, though, that come with owning your own business. It's a lot of work. So for those of you who are thinking about starting a business, don't quit your day job until the money that you're making from your business can replace that money that you're making from your day job.
Now, is that
so don't go out there and get crazy. Huh?
Is that something that you were able to do?
That is something that I have. Let me tell you, save your money too. Okay. Yeah. Had it not been for me saving my money, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I've been able to do. So thank God that I had the sense enough to save money all of those years and to drive my car till the wheels fell off. Okay. So don't go out there just getting new cars and these car payments. Pay your car off when it's time and save that money, because you always want to have at least 6 months, preferably more, of money saved up so that you can pivot if and when you need to.
I want to back up just a little bit, and I totally agree with you, because I'm at that point where it's just like it's just time for that. Like it's definitely time for that. So I'm trying to buckle down and put myself, on a strict a savings plan as much as possible, as much as I can, and really following the blueprint of everything that you stated before. But I want to go back because I did see at some point, and then I know at some point friends that I have who are still in education and in leadership, they're going to come back and they're going to watch this episode. But you said something that was so critical. Yeah, you went through a stint of when you were going through a racist situation, and to me, I find it so incredibly disheartening that even as a principal of a school, when you've made it to that top position of a school, it's still something that tires you down. Because I'm coming from that same experience, not having a principalship. I'm certified to be a principal, but not getting to that principalship because I was tired before that process even occurred. And exactly what you said, I've had the educators who are in leadership that I've had on the show, and both have been African American females. They've said the same thing. And I think when I had that conversation with you, I was talking to you about that, and I just stated, at that time in Hillsborough County, they have an organization for their African American leaders. And, I went to one of the meetings, and it was just a time where they bounced ideas, where they supported one another. And I just always wondered, why did we never have anything like that in Polk County? And it was just, I heard stories of when something like this was, when it was in motion, there were other leaders discouraging it. And it was leaders who were African American leaders discouraging, the formation of this group. And I know that it's just not in Tampa, it's across the country. And so I always wondered, I felt like if someone would just reach down and talk to the new leaders or guide us and not necessarily one up us or act like we're in two different categories, I just felt that there was something lacking, especially when people know what you're going through. And the most disheartening thing to me is to hear somebody say, well, just tough it out. And then when you get your own school, you'll know how not to lead. Versus No, that you're absolutely right. That's not right what's happening to you. Like I always got that. Just tough it out. Just stay under the radar. Just tough it out. And then when you get your own school, you know what happened to you, so you don't do that to anybody else. I'm like, what? Where are we at that we can't address what's going on? Like we really can't address what's going on. Like we really just have to tough it out. Like that's the message that's given to us. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I know I said a mouthful of things, but what are your thoughts on that?
It starts with leadership. And so a lot of what you're talking about has been going on for years. So that same organization that you're referencing, we attempted to start that back when Dr. Wright was still here. It's when I was a teacher at Kathleen Junior High School. And we met, actually. Somehow it got back to someone at the district office that we were doing this. I'm not sure why it was a big deal anyway. I mean, I don't even know why we didn't continue with the formation of it, but I know what you're talking about. It is something that I've thought about.
They have their group that I know about, so I don't know why it was a problem if we were to start a group.
So it is something, though, that I have reached out to the nationals about starting something here, because we definitely need it. And even with the Facebook group that you're in with me, more needs to be done in that group. So I'm trying to think of some ways, but that was the whole purpose of starting that particular group. Okay. And so maybe we can launch into something else, but we got to do more inside this group first before launching, that. But I understand the need. So that's why on my own, I try to reach out and provide mentoring to other aspiring leaders, because I know that that is a need that is lacking. And I want anyone who I work with to know that what you share with me just stays with me. I'm not, and I know people can, maybe that's another thing. People just don't know who to trust, because you really have to be careful in leadership. For those who are watching, you have to be careful in leadership. So you need to find, someone that you can trust, that you can talk to, because you can't talk and share your stuff with just anybody, or else they're going to make things harder for you. Okay, so kind of be careful about who you're sharing stuff with. But yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. But it comes to leadership, back to leadership all over again with that particular area. It needs to be a culture where people feel comfortable about asking for support. Okay, and where the support is being given genuinely, where someone genuinely cares about your growth. They're genuinely caring about your growth, where they don't view you as a threat, because that's another thing. People can, when you know stuff, you're viewed as a threat. Okay, but you can't just dumb yourself down, because that's not who you are. That's not why you went to college. You didn't go to college just to act like you don't know anything. Okay. So I think that there needs to be some additional training for principals, for them to understand that it's okay. It's okay you want to surround yourself with people who know stuff. Right. Because the more you know, it makes the job of the principal a lot easier. Okay. So we have some work to do.
We do. Mm-hmm. When you went through your hardship, when you went through your valley dealing with racism, did you find yourself viewing people differently by the way that they responded to your situation? Like, were there some people that you felt you could count on that you realized that you couldn't? And if so, how did that affect you?
It's so important throughout life that you have a foundation of support. Your family, they are going to be who needs to be in your corner at all times. At all times. When I went through this, I didn't know anyone in the city where I was working. I didn't have family members there. It was just me and them. Yeah. And so there was one person who I thought that I could trust, and she was another principal. She was a veteran principal. She had been a principal for years. Turns out, in the end, She was the snake in the grass. Excuse me, Instagram. Okay,
You,
so you
you
really,
said it
you,
way more nicer than I would. No, I'm swearing. Right, yes.
you really have to be careful with who you befriend, and you know who your friends are when you go through stuff.
Yeah.
That's when God reveals who your friends are. It's when you're going through those valley moments. So that's when you need to really keep your eyes open so you can see who is with me and who isn't with me, who stopped calling me versus who was calling me before. Okay, you really, and then you make some conscious decisions. You know how to move then at that point, okay? And you need to pay attention to that. So during my experience, I didn't have anyone, to the community was very supportive because the school used to be a historically Black high school, and it was in the Black community. So the community and the students of that community, they were my biggest supporters, and so I appreciate them for that. So they always will be near and dear to my heart, always.
Yes. And so I know that the lessons that you learned from that experience carry over into, you being this businesswoman, because was being is being your own boss like the only option that you saw after that experience? Like, was it after this experience, I need to put something towards myself, like I'm doing something for me to build up a legacy for me?
It took me some time to kind of resolve that my work in education is going to be different.
Yeah.
It took some time to get to that point. And when you haven't thought beyond just that position, and as educators, we really have to use our gifts and talents, because as teachers, we know a lot of things. There's so many different things that teachers can do outside of the classroom. Okay. So I'm big on really encouraging people to do other things. And so it took me some time, though, to kind of accept some stuff.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It took some time. It took some time. And so I thought about, okay, well, what else can I do and still use my knowledge and my experience?
Right.
And so I've taken that, and I do consulting work now with schools. I have also, I've written charter school applications, so that's one of the things that I do. Okay. I am also in the process right now of rolling out some stuff to help people open up private schools. And I stay involved in education. I'm on different committees with the school district. And so on the end, I've had a tutoring business, since 2010. And so I'm still involved in education, but the way that I'm doing it now gives me some flexibility that I wouldn't have had before.
Yeah.
And it allows me to still do what I know I do well in helping aspiring leaders become the best that they can be. Because the goal is to make sure that we have great leaders in schools, leaders who, for me, who demonstrate those kinds of qualities that I've demonstrated and that my mentor, Dr. Wright, demonstrated. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my goal is to help administrators to remain who they are, to not lose who themselves, don't lose yourself.
Right.
Don't lose yourself. and to make sure that students are getting the best that they can get from instruction, and that the achievement is continuing to improve in schools, and the achievement gap is closing, and that every child has all the opportunities afforded to him and her. So that's my goal in working with leaders.
Good. I like it. I like it. Now, you have some other things in your repertoire, you have tapped into this real estate,
How about
this ever so growing field of real estate. Like when I saw you advertise, you being an agent and offering investing, education, etc. I'm like, okay, Jill, let's go. Like, because I will say, because real estate is one of those things that's on my bucket list. Like I always said that I wanted to get into real estate some kind of way, like just because I love houses. I love properties. I love the fact that the industry is one of the top ways to build your economic wealth. And so tell us about the ride that you've been on in real estate, and how did that come about? How did you get into real estate?
Yeah. So I've been involved in real estate for about maybe close to 20 years.
Okay.
Not as a realtor, but I've been involved in property management.
Okay.
Working with investors, I did some property management for the majority of that time and got my real estate license in 2019.
Okay.
And so it hasn't been a long time since I've been a realtor. I mean, I took the course in 2018 and got my license in 2019. Yeah, so it was in December and then January. And so, yeah, it has been a learning curve for me, for sure, because, I tend to be a little introverted, y'all. So I'm an introvert. And I find that the people who have the most success, so that's why you'd be great, Jasmar, is because those who have a lot of followers and friends, so it might be something you might want to consider. Right now, with the interest rates being a little high than what we saw a couple of years ago, buyers, the number of buyers, all of that activity is slowing down. But there's still sellers out there putting their homes on the market. I encourage anyone that if you are interested in buying a home, buy the home, because the equity.
That's the advice I keep hearing.
Yeah, equity is still building. The value of homes is continuing to increase. So as you stated, real estate is the best way, in my opinion, to increase wealth. Okay, and so that is an investment. Buying a home, buying any type of real estate, commercial, residential, whatever, land, any of that, that is an investment in your retirement, college education for your children or whatever. It's an investment. And people who purchased homes a couple of years ago, just think about all the money, because the value of homes are increasing, the amount of money that they now have in equity. You can pull that equity out and do things that you want to do, and so it's well worth it. Yes. And so I recently got into investing myself, so I'm a real estate investor as well, and so I'm excited about that. I had that sledgehammer and was knocking out cabinets and all that good stuff. So at some point I'm gonna post that video. But yeah, so I'm an investor. Yeah.
So
it's fun.
How do you find good mentorship in real estate? Like, what do you look for in that? Because especially if you're now going down the avenue of being an investor yourself, like, how do you find like your dream team there? Because that's so important.
Well,
it can make break.
I was blessed. My late boyfriend, he was a real estate investor. Okay. I wish I had paid attention to him, but I did learn some nuggets, so that's how I got into the property management. But I also made connections through to his contractors. So I have a team of contractors. You want to be, make sure you get people who are licensed, whenever they're doing work, electricians, HVAC, roofers. You want to make sure that all those folks are licensed whenever you're flipping houses.
Licensed and insured.
Licensed and insured, right. So yeah, I have a team. The team is changing because, as people are doing work for you, and if they're not showing up when they're supposed to show up, or if they're not meeting deadlines, you always got to have other people that you can bring in. So the team can change until you get a solid team. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure you hold people accountable to meeting those deadlines, because the longer it takes for them to do the work, the longer it's going to take for you to be able to put that house and flip it and make money
Right.
from that. Okay. So time is of the essence whenever you're talking about real estate investing. And, for me, this first, the deal that I did, I used my own money. So that's why you got to save your money. But there are also other ways of getting those renovations financed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your, whether it be your first deal or just a deal that was, that's memorable, like, when did you look at this thing like, oh my gosh, like, I look at what I've just done, like I've turned a profit, like because if someone were to ask me if I went into real estate, like, I probably would talk about that deal that brought me the biggest profit, because it would be something that I would have never seen before. Like, if I went into this deal here and then this is the return that I got on it. Like, what's one of those deals that have like really wowed you that you've been a part of?
Well, this is my first one.
Well,
So
as an agent, because when you sell your
as an
home,
agent.
you're get a
Okay,
percentage.
yeah, as an agent.
Mhm.
Ooh. I think um one that I just did this past March. March. Yeah, this past March. I think it was my biggest commission check. So, the secret though with getting is continual checks, commission checks. You want to become a listing agent. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I work with everyone. I work with buyers, I work with sellers, and I work with people who are looking to rent. Not all realtors do that, okay? Because the pay that we get from helping renters is minimal, but my thought about that is, okay, well, someday if they listen to me, they're going to be buying a house, right? So you got to start wherever you can start with folks, because everybody's not ready, credit scores, etc. So with that particular one, though, back in March, that was the biggest one. But the key, though, once again, is becoming that listing agent. Getting as many homes listed, and actually being a listing agent is actually less work, because as when you're working with buyers, you're spending a lot of time showing houses. When you're listing, you just list, hey, okay, I'm gonna put my sign out here in front of your yard, and I can just walk away and just make sure I market it so that other agents can bring in buyers. Okay, so
as much as I've looked into real estate, I don't, and I know I know the difference between like the listing and the buying agent, but I don't think I've had anybody explain that to me.
That's the
The
difference.
goal would be to be the
So yeah,
listing.
so the goal, yeah. So the easiest, I mean, you got to put the work out there to get the listing.
Yeah.
You got to go and you got to try to sell yourself to the homeowner. And if they agree, once you list that property, your job is to make sure you market and that you're bringing any offers to the homeowner.
Right.
But you're not driving here, there, and everywhere showing houses, on the weekends and after work or during the day or whenever. Yeah. It's much more time consuming being working with buyers than it is sellers. Okay.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
as realtors, we work with, I work with everyone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who's someone that you look up to in the real estate game?
Someone I look up to in the real estate game. You know what? That's just it. I don't know if there's anyone really. Oh, you know what? There is. There's this agent in Atlanta, who I follow. I follow on Instagram. There are actually a few. And I haven't met her, but I have met another realtor in the DC area, and she has mentored me. She's facilitated some training classes in this real estate group. I'm in a lot of real estate groups, but she has so many great strategies that I just wouldn't have thought of on my own.
Okay.
She is just a wealth of information, so I do admire her. But typically, I tend to do a lot of research on my own.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. And I do what I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I think I asked that because I've seen an influx of people that I literally could reach out and call, and they're realtors now, and they seem to be really on a hot streak in terms of, listing properties, becoming investors, and all of that good stuff. And I'm like, wow, they work for the same agency, or these group of women work here, or they work. It's like I'm doing like a little, not like a timeline, but I'm just mapping out the connections. And it's like, I think in every profession you have to have a, like you were saying before, like a support system.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was thinking about being very serious about being a realtor and going into real estate, it was certain people that I would follow, locally,
Mm-hmm.
and just look at the projects that they're doing, because they make it seem so fun. They make it seem so vibrant and lucrative. And it's just like, wow, like you have to be doing something right. So I want to know what's in the sauce. Like, what's the secret to the fun? Because you're listing this, and it's sold, and like, wow. So that's why I asked that question. Like, is it?
Let me tell you the secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but I think it probably is in those cases. Relationships and following. You have to, I think the more successful realtors have a large following on social media.
Yeah.
So that's why it'll be great for you, because you've mentioned this to me before. I remember.
Yes. Yes. I'm looking at that, but I don't know, Jill. Like I said, I'm trying to be on this savings plan, and I'm like, y'all looking real high priced up in there. I got to get me a couple of Gucci belts. I got to get me some Louboutins or something. It's about image. I think some people, I think a lot of people, especially when you're talking about luxury real estate, there's a lot of people who won't even pay you any attention if you don't dress the part. Like, from me watching reality shows, from me even looking at or being in groups, like, because I'm not a realtor, but I'm in a lot of real estate groups, and it just seems like you have to dress the part. But I'm of the person of, I need a total package. Like, you can look a certain way, but what is your knowledge base? Like, give me what does your portfolio look like? Like, what deals have you closed? I ask a lot of questions, but I will say that the outer catches your attention faster than you could get down to the nitty gritty of a person. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I can't roll up in a 2024 Mercedes as of yet, or BMW as of yet.
Yeah, I understand.
Yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made that point. That definitely would not be anything that would stop me, because I feel that in anything, if it's something that's, you're destined to do.
Yeah, right. And the key though is to start. You start where you are. Don't overextend yourself with trying to present yourself in a certain way. Okay. Start where you are, and it's all about relationships once again. And so to get to that particular point, you still have to start somewhere. You're not going to start out selling these $1 million homes, unless that is the group of people you're hanging around all the time. So you always want to put yourself in those situations where whoever you want to sell to, or whoever's home, if you want to sell $1 million homes, then you need to be in that $1 million environment as much as possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you got to be willing to do that for sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If there's a piece of advice from all of your journeys, from education through leadership, through real estate, and we still did not talk about your event planning, because not only do you have all of these other things, but you also
Right.
you put
I
on
need a
events.
virtual assistant. Right. I need a virtual assistant.
You just do everything. Jill is like, listen, I'm gonna have
know.
a plan A. I'm gonna have a plan A through Z, all of the alphabet. A plan that starts with every letter, and
That part right there. That part
and I
right
will tell you now, that piece of advice that now I do remember that being a piece of advice that you did give me, and I'm like, I'm with you on that. You were like, you need to have plan A, B, C, D, E, F.
Really, yeah. You really do, because you just never know when life will happen, and you want to be ready so you can just keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what was that question?
The question was, what piece of advice would you give? Would that be the piece of advice? I asked her what would the advice be, but then I got off on a tangent because I was like, you do events as well now, Sherry Productions. You put on productions, but the question was the advice. What advice would you give someone on their journey of life? And I don't know if that would be it, but
yeah,
it sounds to me like
you know, I would, the advice I would give is to, when things happen, you know, I said something earlier that when you have knowledge, people will try to block you, particularly when you're trying to demonstrate what you know. Okay. And so I would encourage you to just stay focused on the mission. If you can stay focused on the mission when all else around you, I mean, you can see the darts coming at you. Don't take your eye off the prize. Just stay focused on the mission. Try to just block those haters, because they're going to be coming. Just shake them off. You know how they used to say, shake the devil off? You're going to have to shake it off and try to recenter yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your family and let them love on you to try to re-energize you so that you can face it another day. Something that my mom tells me all the time is that I need to smile more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. I'm so focused.
Yeah.
So I don't smile a lot. I don't smile a lot, but that doesn't mean that I'm not approachable. I'm just a focused individual. So people will read you a certain way. I mean, they'll create their own little perceptions about you. Okay, but if you can just stay focused and grounded and keep your eye on the prize, when all else around you, these little attacks are coming. Attacks here, attacks there, they're just coming at you. Get yourself recentered. Talk to someone that you trust and go back at it another day. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway. So try to maintain your sanity. I mean, all the stuff I've been through, I should be a nervous wreck right now, right? I should be cracked up, probably in a straitjacket and everything. But I'm just so grateful that I have, that I'm spiritually grounded. You know, I'm just grateful to the Lord, you know, that I am just still have the wherewithal to still determine my own destiny.
Yeah.
Okay? So all those things did was just strengthen me to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what? Because guess what? The haters are watching me all the time. All the time. Well, what is she doing now? I wonder what she's doing now.
How did she do that?
How did she do that? And so, see, I know this. I know that people are watching.
Yeah.
That's just what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got to keep it moving.
I want to tell you that I love seeing you. I love seeing you keeping it moving. And I knew, you know, parts of your story before doing the podcast. And I will say, like, I used to get so excited seeing you, because the only school that I've been at that I can recall that I got to see you, almost on a weekly basis was when I was at Kathleen Elementary. And I used to, with the knowledge of what was shared with me with your story, I'm like, look at Jill, like she is in a Polk County public school leading these teachers in her own way. It's like, even like with another sector, but you're still making a way to do what you loved. And that always inspired me. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. Like, I like her grit and her tenacity. And I just say thank you for, motivating and inspiring the people that people know about, and especially the people that they don't know about, because you inspire a whole lot of people that a lot of people don't even know that, you're that phone call that people make. And I just think that it's very, it's very endearing of you to do, because I know that you truly love to do it. I don't see any spitefulness in it when you do it. I don't see any I don't see any malice in it. Like, you truly and genuinely want to create the leaders that you spoke of earlier in the show. And so I just say kudos to you. Thank you. And just continue on this journey, because you've done a lot of, crucial things, not even in your career, but even in this district, like even being a part of that book review committee. Like, you can tell that your heart is still in it, and you're still offering your services where your passion still drives. And so thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I would just tell people also, take control of your own destiny.
Yes.
You
yes.
take control of your destiny. Don't allow anyone else to take control of your destiny. No one.
That is the trajectory that I'm on. So when people ask me questions, or they're like, what? I'm like, I decided that this is what I was going to do.
Right.
I positioned myself where I got to decide this time. Not anybody placing me, but I wanted to decide. Like you said, no one goes to school to not be successful. Nobody goes to school and get all this schooling to not be smart. So I didn't go to school to not be smart, not to be able to demonstrate what I know, and to be told not to do it. So
right.
I wanted to decide. I wanted to have the power to decide.
That's
where I am. So listen, Jill, I want you to tell people how they can get in contact with you. I know you have the tutoring, you have the consulting, the entertainment side of the business, and investing and real estate. You have a whole conglomeration going on. So tell everybody in closing how they can connect with you.
All right. So first of all, thank you, Jasmar, for inviting me to be on your show. I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of you. I tell you that often, that I am proud of you. So as she stated, y'all, you can reach me on Facebook and Instagram with my real estate. Facebook is Realtor Jill D. Instagram, I think, is Jill Dorsett.realtor. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My events business is called Shuri Productions, and we have an old school jam on September 23rd. You can find that on Facebook. It is the Facebook page is Old School Saturdays, Central Florida. Tickets are on sale right now for $20, but the price is going up now at the end of August. So get your tickets for that event.
I also Where's it going to be located?
It's going to be located in Lakeland, but now at the Well. If the location changes, we'll let you know. Okay. But it is September 23rd, Old School Saturdays. And my tutoring business is called SO4S Tutoring. It stands for Students Opting for Success. We've been in business for 13 years now, and so we're on Facebook. I'm also hiring tutors. I'm hiring high school students up to certified teachers. The pay is $15 to $25 an hour, so if you want to work and make a little extra money. The phone number is 863-904-5181, 863-904-5181. And if you are a school leader or someone who aspires to open up the school, the name of my consulting business is Collaborative Education Solutions, and that phone number is 863-274-4738. That is 863-274-4738. And I think I got everything. I think.
Listen, it's a whole lot, and I love it. I love it. I get so excited. I'm like, yep, this is inspiration to do something else.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Do it. As long as you got blood running warm in your veins, you better do something.
Yes. You better do something. Like you are on your way to being a millionaire. What do they say? You need 7 to 8 streams of income, of multiple income to become a millionaire. So you're on your way. If you're already not one, because who knows? Jill's probably sitting on about 2.5.
Hey. Save your money. That's all I can tell you. Save your money.
Listen, did I post it? I think I did. I posted it on my page. There is someone that is a renowned public speaker, but I think she's renowned, and I think I want to say the business sector, and it could be for investing as well. But I posted her video on my page. But I noticed sometimes, like, she would always like my stories. And so I started looking her up because her face looked familiar. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, I saw how many followers she had and what she does. And I lost contact with her. And all of a sudden last night I saw a post of hers. And so that's why I posted it on my page, because I was like, I cannot lose her again because I need to tap back into her. But she told this story. And I'm only bringing this up. I know we were in the show, but I'm only bringing this up because of what you keep saying, save your money. Because I don't believe in coincidence. Like, I believe that God literally tries to talk to me through different channels. And I feel like this is one, because this saving money journey has just been a bane of my existence ever since my dad started giving me allowances. That's all he used to try to enforce in me, and I just didn't learn it. So now I'm learning the hard way. But her message was, whatever field she was in, she decided to teach herself how to live off of $31,000. She made over $31,000, but she taught herself how to live for her and her child off of $31,000. And what she would do, she set a goal for herself. And she said that she would just write a check for however much she set it for that particular week or month, however she got paid. And she just tasked herself that the next time she would write herself a check, it will always be 5% more. And even though she didn't know exactly what 5% more of the last gift she would do, she would just write it. And so she would write a check, and in the memo line, she would write funding my dream. On every single check she did would be funding my dream. And I think she said after either a year or 2 years, she never checked the balance on this account. And I think it was after a year. Could have been 6 months to a year, but after that time, she checked the balance, and it was like $65,000 that she had saved in that short span of time, and it was funding her dream. So I'm giving that tidbit to anybody who may be struggling with saving. And because you keep saying, like, when I think about the overarching theme of this episode, what I've taken from it is Jill said you better save your money. You better save your money so that you can do what you want to do in the future.
That's right. That's right. Always be ready. Stay ready.
Stay ready. Stay ready. So thank you so much. I know you said that you had another appointment after this episode, because I know you're constantly on go, and because you got goals and you're going to reach them. So I thank you so much for giving me, this space and this opportunity, this time for you to share your story and for me to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much for being my special guest for episode.
You are so welcome. So welcome.
Thank you. And so this has been episode 93 of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast. Make sure that you are following me on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Make sure you are subscribing on my YouTube channel and on podcast platforms. Everything is at Jazzy, that's Jazzie, Conversations with Jazz. So I will see you back here next Monday on the 28th for episode 94. Y'all have a good night. See you later, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.